Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, happy, what is it, Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday morning. It is April 17th, and we are midway through the week. It is Coffee with Krueger every weekday morning at 6:30. So glad you could join us this morning. It is another gorgeous start to the day. A little breezy, I think, in some spots here this morning. Should be a bit breezy for the valley through the morning hours today before the winds should subside through the afternoon. We'll probably see a few clouds come in some areas here later on today as well as we go through the morning hours. But I think places like Siskiyou, Modoc County, I think you're actually going to see more sunshine in many areas as opposed to, say, southward, where we may see a little bit more in the way of cloud cover in some areas here. But otherwise, we're going to be looking at just another gorgeous spring day here in Northern California for everyone, looking at some gorgeous weather out there. And I do anticipate this is going to be a trend that will last through the rest of the week, this weekend. But next week, what's going on next week? Of course, as you know, we've got cool April nights going on next week. And the big question is it going to rain? Is it going to be warm? Is it going to be cool? Well, I tell you right now, as we all know, it seems like there's this curse on cool April nights, and we tend to typically, a lot of times, see a chance for showers during many of the show and shine events during the week, and not to mention during the cool April nights cruise as well. So, as much as I hate to say it, there may be that chance, which we'll get into here a little bit later. Let's go and take a look at the current temperatures out there right now. We're sitting at about 57 degrees right now in Redding, 51 degrees in Red Bluff. There's about 51 degrees for Willows, 36 in Susanville, and there you can see out towards Alturas a temperature of about 32 degrees. Redway, you're sitting at about 41, and Eureka, 38 degrees. There actually is a frost advisory until 9 o'clock this morning for Trinity County. I'm not terribly concerned about it, but I think some of those low-lying areas and some of those mountain valleys, we could be looking at the potential for, unfortunately, maybe some frost. So if you live in that area and you haven't done so already, probably a good idea to maybe just cover any and protect any of those, some of that vegetation, the plants, whatever it is you need to protect from frost. We could be looking at that potential. But again, I'm not terribly concerned about it, but there are going to be some wind-sheltered areas, some of those low-lying areas where that cooler air kind of sinks down into those valleys, and you can see temperatures drop down close to freezing. You don't have to drop to freezing for frost. You can be looking at those temperatures 33, 34 degrees when you start seeing some of that frost. Look at the temperatures we saw out there yesterday. Did touch 80 degrees out at the Redding Airport. But elsewhere in the valley, mainly in the mid to upper 70s for those daytime highs yesterday. And how about the mountains? Gorgeous, upper 60s, low 70s, although Alturas, one of the cooler spots, only reaching about 59 degrees of that daytime high yesterday. 55 degrees for Crescent City and Eureka. All right, let's go and take a look at what it looks like out there for today. There's your neighborhood forecast at a glance. Yeah, I think some of us in the valley could touch 80 degrees again here for today. Should be a bad day. Temperatures 60s and low 70s for the higher elevations and for the north coast. Partly to mostly cloudy skies depending on where you are, with temperatures in the upper 50s for those daytime highs there. Look at those lake levels. Always nice to get that reminder that the lakes are looking good. You know, I was talking to my friends over there at KQMS on my morning update yesterday, and they put it in perspective when I was talking about, of course, yesterday it was about 7 feet from the crest. And putting that into perspective, you get a tall basketball player like, say, Shaquille O'Neal. That's like him standing on the water and being able to not only probably look over the dam, but probably maybe reach over the dam. Kind of puts things in perspective. So it's now 6.6 feet from the crest. That would be 3 inches. If I put my hand way up, I might be able to touch the top of the dam if I was standing on top of the water. I'm 6'3". So it's kind of interesting perspective there. 24 feet from the crest at Trinity, and of course Lake Oroville about 21 feet. But bottom line, you look at the historical average, we're over 100%, and of course capacity, you're not going to be over 100% because then it would be flooding, but you get the idea. 96% capacity, Lake Shasta Lake, 84% capacity, Trinity Lake, and Lake Oroville, about 91% capacity. That is phenomenal. You gotta love that. Let's take a look at some of those cameras out there. This is Main Street, Chico this morning. Looks like traffic is flowing. Guys kind of moving along there. And there you can see Highway 99 at Neal Road. Looks like a little batch of cars coming through. You gotta love that flow of traffic sometimes. Taking a look right now at Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. Looks like we're okay there as well. Of course, the sun is coming out sooner and sooner, making for these gorgeous days. Taking a look at Crescent City Harbor District camera. There you can see not much in the way of cloud cover out there this morning. Just some beautiful skies is what we got out there. Taking a look at Lake Orville, North Forebay. We are looking at, of course, clear skies there as well. And how about Elk Country? This is just north of Trinidad. Looks like we've got some gorgeous weather out there as well. So it looks like looking pretty good in some spots here. All right, let's take you back to the weather computer here. And of course, what we're seeing here, yeah, we're already starting to see some of those high clouds begin to move in. But notice we're kind of seeing most of those to the south of Siskiyou and Modoc County. Although it looks like here in the last hour or so, we've started to see in Modoc and not to mention Siskiyou County, seeing some of those high clouds. But high pressure is in place, so we're not going to see a lot of cloud cover. It's mainly going to be in the form of those high and some of those mid-level clouds out there. And the winds right now, not a factor. It's not a problem. But I am expecting as we go through the morning hours that we are going to see a better chance for some of those winds picking up. So we could see gusts upwards of around 20 miles per hour, maybe a little bit higher in some spots here through the morning hours. But by the afternoon, those winds should start to subside. And of course, as we take you into your Thursday morning, I'm actually expecting those winds to maybe pick up a little bit here for your Thursday morning before most likely subsiding Thursday afternoon. All right, so here's what it looks like today. Just kind of a footprint of Northern California right now. And those temperatures today, yeah, upper 70s, low 80s. Could see some low 80s in the valley today. Again, some of us could touch that 80-degree mark. Otherwise, temperatures in the 60s for most of the higher elevations, although as you head higher, say 4,000 or 5,000 feet, now you're only reaching highs in the upper 50s for those daytime highs. And of course, for Trinity County, looks like upper 60s to low 70s there and upper 50s to low 60s out along the coast. Let's take a look at your 7-day outlook region by region. They're taking a look at the valley. It's getting a little bit warmer by the end of the week and this weekend. In fact, I think we'll peak sometime around this weekend with low 80s in the valley, but temperatures will start to drop. Now, notice the trend. We're going from 81 Monday to 77 Tuesday. Is that alarming? No. But what this is showing as we go towards the middle and latter part of next week, we're beginning to see a downward trend in our temperatures and an upward trend in chances for rain. Again, we'll get into that a little bit later in our deeper dive forecast, but take a look at your coast, inland, and not to mention Trinity County. Those temperatures around 60, give or take, for the next 7 days for the coast. So not much variation there. But inland, again, you're seeing that little peak, that little spike in those temperatures as we go into the weekend before we see a dip in our temperatures. And that's also the case for Weaverville and Trinity County. Siskiyou, Modoc, and into the eastern mountains we go. Well, of course, you've got those temperatures in the low, even those mid-70s over the weekend, but also seeing that dip in the temperatures as we take you into next week. Well, I'm super bummed out, folks, because I went to this really great event last night. And it's over at Norm's in Palisadro. And they've partnered up with Fall River Brewing Company. And I think they did it last year. They did it again last night. And what they do is they do kind of a food and beer pairing type of event. And last night there were just under 50 people that attended. I was very fortunate and honored to join Kenny Elwood, his family, and of course his friends. He invited myself and my wife to join them. We had a phenomenal time. Of course, with Kenny, I want to thank you for inviting us. We had a great time. I want you to know that. And we certainly appreciate you thinking about us and letting us kind of partake in the festivities. I edited together a video. I interviewed the owner of Norm's, and I also interviewed the owner of Fall River Brewing Company. Unfortunately, so what I do is I edit my video on a separate computer than the one that I use to broadcast all of this stuff. So in order for me to share files, I've got to use a program called Dropbox. It usually works very well, but for some reason, and I keep checking to see if I'm getting the green little check mark, and maybe I'll check again, but for some reason, I can't get the file into the computer so I can share this with you. You know what? Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of walk you through. I will do that. Looks like it's in there. Okay, good. I'll be able to share. I'm not bummed out anymore, so that's great. So what I got to do though is I've got to kind of do two things at once, and that is communicate with you and adding an input into my system here. So I go into NorCal Ag. There we go. Oh shoot, the file cannot be accessed by the system. Why not? Is it not downloaded yet? Maybe it's not downloaded. Let's try again. Hold on, folks, we're getting there. We're getting there. Because I think this is really neat. You know, one of the things that I really want to do here and do more of is really, I think I got it. I did. Awesome. Really what I wanted to do is, you know, I'm doing the Ag Report. I do Pet of the Week. I also do, you know, Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Those are just, a small number of things that I do. But I want to expand that. I want to get more involved in the community and do more community type positive stories. And I think last night was kind of one of those, it wasn't planned, but it was one of those like, hey, this is an opportunity to share with you something positive that's happening in the community. And it's really great when you have different businesses collaborating with each other and really just doing great things. So again, you know, this is I'm calling this kind of a NorCal Ag type of report, but because in a sense you do have kind of the farm to fork type of thing going on here. And we had some great food pairings with different brews from Fall River Brewing Company. And I was given an opportunity to talk to the owner of Norm's in Palisadro, of course, putting on this event, and also the owner of Fall River Brewing Company. So here's how that interview went. Again, just some great stuff that they had to say, and I just want to share this with you. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal, and this is kind of an ag report, but not really. We'll kind of figure out where this is going to be in the category of things. But with me right now, I've got Lindsay and I've got John. Hello. You may know who they are. You may not know who they are. But Lindsay is the owner of this restaurant called Norm's, yes, right? And you are the owner of Fall River Brewing Company.
Correct.
So you two are kind of some big shots here that we've got here. So what's going on here tonight? Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
Tonight we're doing just a food beer pairing. So we did 5 courses, really 6, with 2 desserts tonight, and we just looked at flavors and paired them nicely with Fall River beer, which we sell the most of at Norm's.
So what's the overall objective to having an event like this? What's the whole goal?
To get people excited about all their new beers that they're releasing and just different things on their palate. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you go about, do you do the pairing? Who does the pairing as far as, do you guys work together? How does that work?
So Lindsay puts together the food menu, and then obviously, you know, when you look at food and how it's made, you know, food and beer itself pair together so well just because you've got, like she described, palates. You've got aromas, you've got flavors, and so the food will actually bring out better flavors out of the beer and vice versa. And so they do a really good job curating the food to pair with the beer. So our beer is obviously here year round, right? And so she's preparing special dishes that go well with those. And it just, the two marry up really nicely. It creates an actual experience where you can just have, you know, flavorful combinations between the two.
Well, I got to say, it was pretty neat, yeah, when you think about the pairing, and I mean, I'm not an expert. I don't know anything about all this stuff here, but it's really neat when you kind of, you take a bite of whatever it is we were eating, right? And then you take a sip of the beer and you go, okay, I can kind of see what's going on here. What would be your recommendation for people as far as like just everyday, you know, eating and pairing of beers? What's your kind of recommendation?
Well, you can't go wrong with beer and pizza, ever, right? Those are like one of the greatest pairings you can do.
Burgers.
But I would also say when you're going to eat a big steak, beer always pairs well with that. Italian food, a lot of people don't really realize that the spices in Italian food pair really well with IPAs, and then desserts and stouts, desserts and sour beers. You know, there's a lot of different combinations that a lot of folks don't know about. They think about wine and food, but there's a lot more different types of beer than there are wine. So those combinations go together really well.
Awesome. Any advice from you?
Yeah, I think you should pair anything with whatever you're eating. Their cherry lime beach pop, the hard seltzer.
Oh, yeah.
It is. I mean, it's not just beer that they do, and it's incredible.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you too I know you were busy tonight. You were just running around all like crazy.
Yep.
You not so much. You were having a good old time.
I was pretty much enjoying myself.
Yeah, I think so. So, of course, I was so glad I was able to come to this event and really just experience it all together and meet the two of you. And thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you next time for Ag Report or whatever we're calling this next time. All right, so there's a little taste of some of the things that I like to do, a little bit more of that. And it doesn't have to necessarily be food involved. There's going to be all kinds of other great things. And this is, let me tell you, this is the very beginning phases of some workings that we have here at Weather NorCal. Some of these things that we're kind of brainstorming and hopefully things that you'll start to kind of see come to the surface in the months to come. And of course, eventually, hopefully, some kind of announcement of sorts. So, exciting things are happening. I'm excited about the potential of what Weather NorCal has to offer outside of just the weather. So I'll let you kind of think about that and kind of wonder what that might be. But I do want to put it out there that in no shape or form do I plan on becoming any kind of news operation. You're not going to hear about the latest car crash or any politics going on. We're not going to talk that. No one, listen, we all get along here and have a great time. And what do you always, what's the one thing Kenny Elwood last night told me at the event? He says, just stay away from politics and religion. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We can all have our own beliefs and our thoughts and what we want to do, but in big social platforms and in big, when you're just kind of in a big environment where you do have differing opinions about things, certainly we can always have, good debates about these things. But then there are times when it gets a little ugly and nasty. And especially in today's climate, all right, it's not a good environment. So I've always erred on the side of caution to stay away from politics and to stay away from hard news. It's if you want the hard news, you know where you can go to get that. But if you want good, positive things that are going around in our community, like what we just saw there last night, this is the place to go. Over time, obviously. And of course, this is a place to go for your weather report. As always, number one priority right there, right? Especially during severe weather and when we've got things going on. But again, I want to thank Kenny Elwood. He's actually one of the big sponsors here at Weather NorCal, sponsors NorCal Ag. And so he actually, the beef from his ranch was highlighted in last night's one of the dishes. They had several pairings of different types of dishes with different types of beer from Fall River Brewing Company at Norm's. And so I learned a little bit about Kenny himself. He and I have been kind of, spending a little bit of time together. And of course, last night I got to spend some time with his wife and his friends and my wife. We all got to hang out and really get to know each other a little bit better. And, upon doing a little bit of research more on Kenny and Elwood Ranch, because as you may or may not know, Kenny is the owner of Lassen County Nursery, but it goes beyond that. And you can see it right here on your screen, Elwood Ranch. And he takes really, good pride in his beef and doesn't just let anyone, serve it up and wants everyone to have a good experience when they are, partaking in any beef that he may supply. So, you look at this, you look at the, explanation of what he does, and it's all farm-to-table beef, ranches, grass-raised and grain-finished in Northern California in our family-run operation. It's their goal to provide you with quality product that you can put your trust in. And one of the things that I learned, and that I learned from Kenny last night, is it's about consistency. See, so many times you go to a restaurant or whatnot, and you order something off their menu. You go back there a week later or a few days later, and it's a different experience with the same menu item. But with Kenny, he's all about consistency and keeping things consistent. So you know that if you have a good experience with his beef, right, that you're going to continue to have that, and you can always come back for more and know that you're going to enjoy it. So, enough of that. We certainly spent a long time on that, but I just wanted to kind of share that experience with you, and it was really a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it, and I want to thank Kenny again for inviting my wife and I to such a great event. It was a lot of fun, and we appreciate that. All right, let's get you to the forecast here. But of course, before we do that, let's take a look at first of all, before let's see what everybody's up to here. Casey saying good morning. We got Bill saying thank you, Mike. Good morning. Enjoy another beautiful day. So Lisa's asking, how far out can weather be accurately predicting? Hoping to go camping in Hat Creek on 4/26. Well, Lisa. My overall, when I first got into meteorology, I'm going to age myself here, over 25 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, the first rule of thumb that I learned was that anything beyond, and this was 25, 30 years ago, keep in mind, anything beyond 4 to 5 days, it's just not going to be very good. However, as technology has advanced and, forecasting abilities have improved, forecast models, because forecast models are just big, complicated mathematical equations. So over time, those mathematical equations have improved. And that's what's allowed us to really kind of forecast out better long range. So I'd say a good rule of thumb is 6 to 7 days. Anything beyond 7, 8 days, you start kind of getting into a bit of a gray area because a lot can happen between now and that 7 to 8 day time frame. When I first got into the business, the standard was a 5-day forecast. But shortly after that, it did kind of bump up to a 7-day forecast. And some operations are even doing a 10-day forecast. I'm still not on board with that. Because again, I think as you start going out 10 days, it's a crapshoot, quite honestly. So I just don't tend to really support, making that a daily and normal part of a forecast routine, because it's just going too far out and it's going to change too much and it gives people too much hope. So Lisa, to answer your question, stick around because here, after I kind of go through the comments here, we're going to go into the longer range forecast and we're going to be talking about that potential for rain, including around the time you're thinking about heading out to Hat Creek. It's gorgeous now, and you'd like the weather that we have now next week, but that may not be the case. Good morning from Jay. Good morning, Nick and Ruth, Curtis Brown. Looks like west of Red Bluff, another good day. Yard work. Yeah. It's that time of the year where it just seems like yard work is pretty much every day. And of course, Betty's saying hump day. Of course, that is today, and it is Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. We're getting there, and we'll get through the week. All right, let's get to the forecast here. But before we do that, we've got to, of course, mention our sponsor, which is Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Okay, let's get to those current temperatures out there right now. Boy, I'm looking at that close-up image of me right now in that delayed shot. I need to get some better lighting. Oof. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to step back from the camera a little bit more, maybe not be so close. All right, let's take a look at those current temperatures out there right now. 57 degrees out right now for Redding, 51 in Red Bluff. There you can see Susanville, about 36, 32 degrees for Alturas. And there you can see those temperatures, upper 30s and some low 40s out along the coast. Now, keep in mind, there is a frost advisory for Trinity County until 9 o'clock this morning. As you can see here, we're kind of getting close to that frost temperature, usually around 34 35 degrees, we can start seeing that frost. So yeah, I mean, it is definitely getting chilly out there. If you haven't already protected and covered up those sensitive vegetation or plants, it might be a good idea to maybe do that right now. It's okay. You can step away from this and do that if you need to. 32 degrees for Bernie as well as El Tourist, 36 for Susanville, Chester about 31. And of course, you can see those much more mild temperatures in the valley. All right, so mix of sun and clouds today. I think we're going to see a few more clouds coming in here, especially south of Siskiyou and Modoc counties. Breezy north winds at times, especially this morning for the valley, but they should subside by the afternoon. Dry and warm through the weekend, but I've got the potential for some cooler and wetter weather for next week. All right, we'll get to that here in a second. Look at the high temperatures we saw out there yesterday. And, I was expecting to maybe touch 80 degrees in some spots, and we did out at the Redding Airport. 73 degrees, though, for Chico. Orville, about 76. There you can see along the coast, temperatures were in the mid-50s yesterday, and 59 degrees for El Tourist. So for today, well, there's a look at your neighborhood at a glance. Again, I think some of us in the valley could touch 80 degrees. Otherwise, upper 60s, low 70s for the higher elevations, and for the coast, in those upper 50s for your daytime highs. Let's take a look at Futurecast here. Just kind of take a look at that cloud cover as we do kind of go through the day. I think we're going to see some of those high clouds kind of come through, especially south of Siskiyou and Modoc counties. And then as we go into your Thursday, it looks like another round of some clouds kind of coming in. We'll call it partly cloudy in some spots. But again, when I say partly cloudy, mainly those high and those mid-level clouds, and really mainly just those high, thin cirrus clouds. So there's some of the clouds that we're seeing coming in this morning, more of that coming in behind it, but high pressure's in place. So it's eroding a lot of those clouds in place, but it's not a strong ridge. So it's still allowing some of those clouds to kind of move on in. And that's really going to be the trend. You'll see some passing clouds from time to time over the next several days here. But I want to show you the long range because now this is where you need to start paying attention, especially as we start going in next week. And we'll kind of get to that here in a second. But here you can see this storm system kind of just churning over the Gulf of Alaska right now. That is trying to move east, but really it's just kind of sitting and spinning energy off to the east, off into Canada, not to mention out towards the Pacific Northwest. So, it's losing energy as it gets closer to the landmass, so we're just not seeing much rain over the weekend at that point. There you can see, of course, that ridge of high pressure kind of holding in a little bit here, but it's weak. We don't have a very big, prominent arc, meaning it's not going to get too terribly hot. It's not going to get too cold either, but it's going to be warm. And we're going to be looking at those clouds kind of filtering through that ridge of high pressure. Meanwhile, I've got my eyes on this right here. All right, let's watch it. Let's watch it as we go through the weekend into next week. This is getting closer and closer. That's not what is really necessarily that we got to keep our eyes on. But look what happens. As we go into Monday, we've got a trough of low pressure right here. Okay, so that trough, cooler air, is suppressing the heat. So we'll probably see a dip in our temperatures early next week. But as it stands right now, I'm not anticipating any rainfall. That's because we're going to be drying out the atmosphere significantly over the next several days, and it's going to be hard for us to really see any rain out of a very weak moisture-starved system. So if we see any rain, it's going to be few and far between in the form of sprinkles on Monday, but shouldn't be a big deal. So there's the aerial pressure. Now what's happening is you see this little batch of energy right here. See the flow of the jet stream right here? This is just going to follow that jet stream as we go into next week. So dry Monday, most likely. Tuesday of next week looking dry. Wednesday, Thursday of next week, it's getting questionable. And I know, Lisa, you had a question about next Wednesday, right? The 24th, possibly maybe going on that Hat Creek camping trip. Well, if we were going off this forecast model, you could see it would be dry and the rain would be off to the west. But if we were to extend this on into Thursday of next week, it overspreads the area. Now, the thing is, if you look at the European forecast model, it's more aggressive with this system on Wednesday, potentially bringing rain as early as Wednesday. So it depends on which model you look at. But this is that question. How far out can you go before it starts getting inaccurate? And so as we get into next Tuesday, next Wednesday, timing and intensity is still going to be something we're going to have to watch. And if this even pans out, I mean, if we get high pressure building in, pushes out of the north, but as it stands right now, it looks like we could be looking at the potential for some wet weather near the middle and latter part of next week. Now, I don't expect a ton of rain, but I do anticipate to potentially see that. And looking at the Climate Prediction Center, what we're seeing here is the lighter shades of green indicating that the chances for above normal rainfall are in the lowest category. So this would mean that, yeah, we're not going to see a ton of rainfall. But the chances are there nonetheless by the middle to latter part of next week. And when we look at the temperature trend, that also helps us support what we're seeing here with the cooler temperatures most likely going into the middle and latter part of next week as well, with the warmer temperatures off to our east. All right, so let's go and take a look at futurecast winds. Now, we saw that a little bit earlier, a little breezy at times this morning, especially for the north end of the valley. The winds should subside this afternoon, a bit gusty, by the way, even for the coast. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, maybe a little breezy again. Looks like a bit of that north wind, but coming off of the mountains from the east, for the foothills just east of the valley, and again maybe a little breezy for the coast as well. The winds should subside by Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, and then as we go into your Friday, there's Friday morning, calm winds. As we go into Friday afternoon, winds may pick up a little bit off to the east, coming in more from the west, maybe even a southerly flow of winds as we go into your Friday as well. This is, of course, an indication of maybe a bit of a disturbance coming in. And that is what's going to maybe give us a little bit more in the way of that cloud cover, but no rain as it stands right now. I'm not seeing it just yet. The European forecast models is forecasting that on Saturday there may be some shower activity just off the coast. We'll have to kind of wait and see what happens with that, but for now I'm keeping it dry, but just kind of a heads up on that. The wave heights here for today, still fairly high, and then as we go through the afternoon, those wave heights into Thursday should start to drop. So when we look at the marine forecast, there you can see it, small craft advisory through this afternoon, but that should be allowed to expire once those wave heights do begin to drop going into this evening and into tomorrow. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Notice what's happening with the temperatures. They're going up as we go into the weekend, kind of peaks on the weekend, and then temperatures start to go down again. That's going to be the trend for everyone, with, of course, the exception of the coast. We're not going to see quite that spread there. But what this is showing here is that downtick in those temperatures. When you watch this evening's forecast, temperatures will be even cooler by Wednesday, and I have even included a chance, most likely, for some showers by next Wednesday. Here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast looking to the south. 69 degrees for Ruth, 66 for Wildwood, 71 degrees for Hayfork, and 67 degrees in High and Palm. Now, we take you out to the north coast, southern Humboldt County, 68 degrees for Miranda, 63 for Redcrest, and 64 degrees in Honeydew. We take you up to the north with 58 degrees for Ferndale, 59 in Fortuna, as well as Hydesville, and 58 degrees in Rio Dell. All right, let's go and take you up to the north. You can see about 58 degrees for Eureka, 61 Trinidad, 74 for Hoopa and Willow Creek. And of course, as we take you up to the north there you can see Smith River, 71, Klamath, about 63, and Orick topping out at about 61. A bit warmer out in Orleans with a high of about 77 degrees. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, and you can see temperatures in the 60s, even some 70s in there. As we take you out to Scott Valley, temperatures there mainly in the low to even some mid-60s, around 65 for Callahan, 61 in Fort Jones. Again, mainly just, I think, maybe some passing high clouds for Siskiyou County. But otherwise, mainly sunny skies there. And then you can see 62 degrees for Weed, Tule Lake about 59 degrees. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, well, we're looking at about 59 degrees for Alturas, 55 for Cedarville and Fort Bidwell, that is. Likely about 61, and out towards Aden, a temperature of about 59. All right, here's your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. Bernie, 64. 70, though, for Montgomery Creek. Paynes Creek, about 71. We take you out towards Lake Almanor, Lassen Park. Of course, Lassen Park can be much cooler, but there you can see out towards Lake Almanor, temperatures in the mid-60s, give or take. All right, let's go and take a look at your Eastern Mountains forecast to the south. Paradise, 71, 64 degrees for Mineral, and Susanville, a high of about 68 degrees. All right, here's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by NorCal Tractor. These temperatures, they're going to be in the upper 70s, and I think some of us around 80 degrees. Temperatures you saw yesterday, pretty much what we're going to see here for today in the Valley at least. 77 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake, 74 for Lakehead, and I've got about 78 degrees out in Cottonwood today. All right, here's your 7-day outlook for Redding. Now, temperatures are increasing. We're going to be in the low 80s for your Thursday, Friday. Could get up to about 82, 83. Now, some models are bringing us up to about 84, 85 by Sunday. I think that might be overdoing it, but you get the idea. It's going to be warmer. And the peak of this warming trend will be this weekend before we start to see that trend of those temperatures dropping going into Monday and Tuesday of next week. All right, so that's a look at your forecast. Any questions? Because as you know, we got a lot of events going on. Not concerned about rain or anything of that nature here for the Red Bluff Roundup going into Friday and through the weekend. Looks like you've got good weather for it. In fact, if anything, it's going to be on the warm side. So if you're planning on heading out to the event on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, just know that if you know it's during the day, it's going to be pretty warm. You may need sunscreen, the works. Make sure you stay hydrated. And of course, if you're going to be there in the nighttime hours, it shouldn't be too terribly cold. Although this time of the year, the temperatures do tend to drop a little bit here. So you may want to bring just a light layer with you to maybe cover up if it gets a little chilly going into those overnight hours, but shouldn't be too terribly bad. And of course, as you know, going into next week, we've got Cool April Nights, just all these great events going on. The show and shine's going to be going on all next week. I'll try to keep up with those and kind of keep you updated with where the show and shines will be for those days and what the forecast will be for those days. But as it stands right now, I think we'll be dry for the first half of next week. But by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's beginning to look a little bit more questionable as far as the potential for rain, because I think we could be looking at that potential. It's that standard, right, where it seems like there's this curse on Cool April Nights. It brings the potential with rain along with it. And a lot of times, it's not even a lot of rain. It's just that threat. A sprinkle here and there, just enough to spoil your plans if you've got a perfectly polished car. That's at a show and shine. Good morning from Dean from Palisadro. Well, thank you for watching, Dean. I was out in your neighborhood out there last night. At Norm's, of course, with that food and beer pairing with Fall River Mill Brewing Company, that is, and it was a lot of fun. So, a lot of great, Palisadro, it feels like it's one of those untapped places where people may not tend to go, and it's kind of, they've got some great restaurants there. And it seems like there's a really good tie with the local ag community out in Palisadro, and that's why you're really going to get a lot of good fresh fruits and vegetables and just good food in general. So check out some of the things they have. Norm's, that was my first time ever there. My wife had known about it and knew some of the great things that they're doing over there. But what a great restaurant that they have. And it was so great to meet the owner over there at Norm's and just kind of learn more about what they do. And it's just really neat. Loved it. So I want to thank again for anyone who was out there, and hope you had a good time. Okay, so that's going to pretty much do it for now. Let me know if you have anything going on today, tomorrow, what's going on in your neighborhood, if there's anything exciting. Jeff saying, good morning. We have been wanting to try Norm's. I guess we should go. I think you should. Because having spoken with, and check out, Jeff, if you missed it, I want you to do me a favor. You're watching right now. I'm going to take you, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to take you to the weather computer. I'm going to take you to a web browser. We're going to go to weathernorcal.com. So I want you to go to the website, and in the website here, you can scroll down here. See, it says Ag Report. Click on that. Sponsored by Lassen County Nursery. There's Kenny Elwood. And we click here to watch the NorCal Ag Report. So it takes you to another page. And there's my interview with the owner of Norm's. Of course, she's a woman in the middle. And she's phenomenal. And she does great work. And she was working really hard last night. And of course, the guy got the microphone there on that is the owner of Fall River Brewing Company. And they had a lot of great things to say, so check out that interview. Meet the owner of Norm's if you're interested in going out there. And of course, if you like Fall River Brewing Company beer, they partner with them. So that's the number one selling beer that they have over at Norm's. So be sure to check that out, Jeff. I think you'll really be impressed because they've just got great stuff. And the beef that they get at Norm's comes from Elwood Ranch, which I was talking a little bit earlier here, so be sure to check that out. Alrighty, let's see if there's any good cameras out there, see if there's anything good, but we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show here. We're a little after 7 o'clock this morning. I'd like to get a little chat going. If you guys have anything you want to say, if there's anything you're doing, just throw it. Just throw it out there and we'll see what we can do. Here's a couple of things that I've been thinking about throwing out there. Not throwing up, throwing out there. Is a buddy of mine who's doing this out in East Tennessee in Knoxville. He's been doing these things, and I'm just not quite sure how well they would go here, but we could see. is he's been doing some meet and greets. So if you think that that would be maybe something that you would like for me to do, is we'll maybe start with Redding. Do a meet and greet in Redding, and maybe think of a location where we could do that, and you can come with your family, and you can we'll do a meet and greet. We'll kind of talk about what Weather NorCal is all about. We'll have opportunities for you to kind of come up and meet me personally. Maybe I'll have some swag there, maybe swag that people can purchase, shirts, hats. That's about all I've got at this point. I need to maybe restock up on that. But I'm thinking about maybe doing, and let me know what you think of that. If that would be something that you would be interested in, is maybe a meet and greet, where we can all kind of get together, talk Weather NorCal, and kind of get going on with that. So looks like Dizzy is saying there is a Unity ride is Saturday. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I would assume it may be some kind of, based on your profile picture, you've got a motorcycle. So maybe that's some kind of motorcycle ride that people get together and enjoy and have a good time. I've got a friend of mine he's a pilot, and I'm always seeing him out there doing these long rides. He's got kind of a sports motorcycle bike, and if that's what they call it, I don't know. But it's fun. He looks like he has a lot of fun with that. So yeah, kind of neat. A lot of great little communities and organizations around. If you have a particular interests, there's always something that you can get involved in. I actually tried starting over a year ago. If you see my coffee mug right here, as you know, as you may or may not know, I'm a big Tesla fan. I love Tesla. So I bought my Tesla Model 3 in 2018. And I actually started this is kind of a fun little fact if you don't know. I actually started a YouTube channel about 6 months after I purchased my Tesla Model 3. And hey, check it out. Let me see if I can find it on here. Let's go to YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and switch my account to Frugal Tesla Guy. One of the things that I thought was really that I wanted to kind of promote with my channel was, you know, kind of go to all the different videos that I've got, and you know, you can see it's kind of one of those where, you know, you learn more about the car. I've got a few agreements with different companies, aftermarket companies. So some upgrades that I've done to my car. I've got a friend that's got a Tesla Model S Plaid. So we kind of did that. So it was a lot of fun. So check it out. You know, it's neat. And if you go into some of my earlier videos, what I like about my earlier videos is I did a lot of traveling videos to show that you can travel long distances in your electric vehicle, in particular a Tesla. And there you can kind of see there, I'm towing a small trailer. You can do that behind the car. It did great. So a lot of fun information on that. So again, I went on to a little tangent there, but I tried starting this Tesla Owners Redding, and there actually is somebody she kind of took over a little bit and has been kind of fairly active on the Facebook page. But you know, we have yet to really do any kind of group gathering, but maybe one day, Tesla Owners of Redding may get together one day. Lisa, you had confirmed that yes, it meets west in Weaverville. Okay, so that will be Sunday. Let's see, Saturday. Saturday, it looks like you meet in Weaverville and you ride your motorcycles. And then Lisa Stevens is saying, Old Fellows monthly pancake breakfast Sunday morning. How fun is that? Who doesn't love a good pancake in the morning, right? That's in Palisadro. Well, thank you, Lisa, for that little tidbit of information. If you are looking for something to do Sunday morning and you love pancakes, head on out to Palisadro. Where exactly is that, Lisa? Oddfellows? I'm not sure where that is. But maybe just kind of throw in the chat there what you got going on. Maybe I'll head out there. If I don't, what do I have going on Sunday? You know what? I might be able to make it. We'll see. The problem is, and I hate to bring this up, and it's, I try to be as positive as possible. My cholesterol has gone out of control again. I know it's hard to believe. People always think that, thin people don't have cholesterol problems, but I do, unfortunately. And I've got to be really careful. And so I've got to avoid things like sugar and carbohydrates and fats in general. I kind of broke some rules last night when I was eating with Kenny. I was eating some pork and some beef, but I didn't eat too much. I try to keep it, and then I had a little bit of a dessert as well. But I wasn't happy about the results of my cholesterol. It's just terrible. So I'm trying to do everything I can to kind of eat healthier, which is why I like doing these ag reports, because I learn more about, local farms and where you can really get the best produce, fresh produce, all that good stuff. And my wife's such a great chef. She's really helping to support me and helping me to eat healthier as well. So I'm excited about that. Biscuits and gravy too. Come on, what are you doing to me, Lisa? You just heard me talking about my cholesterol and I can't eat these terrible things, and now you're talking about biscuits and gravy now? Come on, that sounds awesome. So it's the Odd Fellows Hall on Silver Lode Lane, Highway 44, Silver Bridge area. It's from 8 o'clock until 10:30 in the morning. Even if I don't eat anything, I'll just come by and say hello. I can meet you, Lisa. So why don't you join us? Tell you what, I will kind of reconfirm a few things and see what I got going on Sunday, and we'll kind of reconvene and talk about this. So be sure to bring that up again tomorrow, Lisa, and we'll kind of talk about that. But yeah, I want to try to develop kind of a bigger community right here on this morning show where you can, tell me what you got going on, and like I say, maybe we can do some kind of meet and greet. I didn't know about the Unity Ride. I didn't know about the Odd Fellows Monthly Pancake Breakfast, and as well as biscuits and gravy too. I mean, come on, that sounds phenomenal. And apparently it goes on every month. So check it out. We'll talk about it again tomorrow and possibly even on Friday as well. So, all right, folks, looks like that's going to do it for now. But just kind of keep that in mind in the future. I want you to really chime in here. And we can kind of have some better chat sessions, and everyone can kind of get involved. And also, if you have questions about the weather, I am right here for you, right here at your disposal. If you've got questions about the weather, I am more than happy to answer the question. And, especially if you have plans, if you've got things going on and you want to know what the weather is going to be like. If it's not going out too far, like say months out, I've got a wedding in May. I can't tell you that. Several of us with MS will be walking at Turtle Bay on Saturday at 8:30. All right, Krista, thank you for the heads up. Should be nice. So if I'm assuming, Krista, that this is kind of an organization for people with MS, and you all get together and probably go for walks and maybe a support group for each other. That's really neat. I love that. And so if you are in the Reading area and you have MS or know somebody with MS, tell them about the walk Saturday morning at Turtle Bay. I'm assuming it's going to be over the Sundial Bridge. And there you go, Krista. Thank you for that heads up. I think that's awesome. And Krista, by the way, Sadie and I have been talking about, some of the cooking stuff. And, we'd love to sit down with you and your husband and talk about some potential things. So just so you know, this is something we've been kind of discussing and talking about. So we'll probably be reaching out to you and your husband in the future here soon. We got, depends on how busy we are, but we definitely are interested in doing something. And I actually did check out his YouTube page as well. Some of the things that he's doing. And I think it'd be kind of really neat to kind of get Sadie and him, kind of doing something. We'll see. But kind of in the works. Should be fun. And I saw some of your work, and I think it should be good, because I'm trying to expand things a little bit, but unfortunately I don't want to create a lot more work for myself either. So I've got to try to figure out ways to kind of spread out the love for people to be able to kind of do some of those things as well. So there you go. All right, so just to kind of wrap things up, a couple of events that I just heard about and you can hear about as well. We have got the Unity Ride is this Saturday. They meet in Weaverville. Then you've got the Odd Fellows Monthly Pancake Breakfast Sunday morning in Palisadro, and they meet And by the way, not just pancakes, but they have biscuits and gravy too. They meet at the Odd Fellows Hall on Silver Lode Lane, Highway 44, Silver Bridge area, at between 8 and 10:30 in the morning. And then, of course, Krista just mentioned that there are several people with MS that will be walking at Turtle Bay, most likely over the Turtle Bay Sundial Bridge, on Saturday at 8:30. So just some things, some local community events, small ones, but events nonetheless, that are just kind of fun. And I love to go out and try to check these things out as well. I want to discover more and more things. And I want to, as I discover these things, share them with you, so you can become more in tune with your community as well. So think about that. Think about what we can do here at Weather NorCal to help you get more in tune and in touch with your community. And we'll keep chatting about it. So thank you all again for watching this morning. We are going to wrap things up this morning with a little bit of, or some different cameras out there. We got some great cameras at our Axis. I've only got one that's mine, but I'm hoping to one day expand. Hint, hint, Kenny, if you're watching. Take a look right now at Lake Oroville, North Forebay. We're going to wrap up, as I said, with some music here, and not to mention some cameras. In the meantime, we will see you, and get your chat on tomorrow. I want you to think about getting your chat on tomorrow. Tell me what's going on what's with your life, what you got going on, and different events that you may know about this upcoming week, this upcoming weekend, and not to mention next week. I want to hear about it, and I think everybody would love to hear about it as well. Let's get in on the conversation and start our own little community right here on Weather NorCal on Coffee with Krueger. So until tomorrow morning, I'll see you bright and early at 6:30. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everyone.